Welcome Inside the Lines. I am Greg Sussman, joined by Frank Stanfill. There are 14 games on the NBA slate tonight, and we have 4 games definitely worth wagering on over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. We begin in Toronto, where the defending champions are taking on the New York Knicks. Knicks come in as 10-point dogs in this one, and if the Knicks are going to be able to stop the Toronto Raptors, they're going to have to limit them from three-point range. Toronto is the best team in the NBA at shooting the three at over 39% per game. How are the Knicks going to stop them?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough spot here, Greg, and I think it's a good point that you bring up specifically when it comes against Fred VanVleet. In 8 games without Kyle Lowry, he is averaging 21.9 points per game, 8 assists, 2.6 three-pointers made per game as well. He is arguably the league's most improved player thus far, Greg. I think it starts with limiting Fred VanVleet. You
can make a case that Fred VanVleet is one of the best defenders in the NBA right now as well. The Knicks will have their handful tonight. Let's move on to Memphis, where, according to the FanDuel Sportsbook, the Grizzlies are a 6-point dog at home against the Los Angeles Clippers, but the Clips are on the second night of a back-to-back, which means there's no Kawhi Leonard tonight. But Frank, good luck for them because they do have Paul George still.
Yes, they do have Paul George, and these are 2 teams on the opposite end of the Western Conference right now. On the season, Memphis is 5-11 straight up. They are 6-10 ATS, and they're failing to cover the spread by an average of 3.5 points per game, Greg. That is the second worst ATS plus-minus on the season, so I'm not worried about no Kawhi Leonard. The fact that it's a back-to-back, I think Paul George, Lou Williams, and Montrezl Harrell are going to be able to do enough to cover the spread.
Grizzlies have been one of the fastest teams in the NBA. Clippers, they know how to slow it down. It is the second night of a back-to-back. I like the under tonight in this one. We'll take a break. When we come back, Anthony Davis has returned to New Orleans. Both sides are going to be pumped up. Who do we like? We'll tell you next.
They say less is more, but we believe more is more. That's why we build FanDuel Sportsbook with more ways to bet, more ways to fund your account, more ways to cash in, and more ways to cash out, with payouts delivered straight to your bank account in as little as 48 hours. You want more? You got it. Join today and get a risk-free bet worth up to $500. FanDuel Sportsbook. More ways to win.
We're Inside the Lines. I am Greg Sussman. This is Frank Stanfill. And for the 3rd time already this season, the Milwaukee Bucks are taking on the Atlanta Hawks. This time it's in Milwaukee, where the Bucks are favored by 14.5 points. And understandably so. The Hawks, they just haven't been good. They've lost 7 games in a row, with over half of those games coming by more than tonight's 14.5 points. Giannis has been predictably ridiculous. It's a tough spot for the Hawks.
It's a really tough spot, Greg, and I understand this is a lot of points, a 239.5 total in this game. But hear me out. The last time these 2 teams played, they combined for 262 points. Last time we were here, we were talking about this same game, Greg, and I brought up John Collins not being with the team. I think that's a big factor. With John Collins, Atlanta's allowing 104.4 points per game. Without him, they're allowing 123.8 points per game. A lot of points in this game. A lot of pace in this game. I'm taking the over.
I'm cool with the over, as long as you also take Milwaukee to go along with that over. Our final game this evening, it's Anthony Davis's return to New Orleans. The Lakers have been the best team in the NBA this season, and now they go into a tough New Orleans environment. The Pelicans are 6.5-point dogs here in this one, but you know it's going to be raucous in New Orleans. Can Anthony Davis and the Lakers get it done?
I'm not sure that they're going to be able to. I really think that New Orleans shows up for this game with everything that happened last year with Anthony Davis. We've got revenge factors on both sides here. Brandon Ingram going to have a big game. New Orleans is 5-3 ATS at home this year, Greg, and they have big wins against both the Clippers and the Nuggets. Getting back to Brandon Ingram, I think he has a really big game. He's had a great season thus far, 26.1 points per game, over 50% shooting from the field, 7 rebounds, over 4 assists. I think Brandon Ingram has a really big one, and I think the Pelicans cover.
I'm really glad you mentioned Brandon Ingram because it's time to get to our dollar holla, our long shot bets of the night. And that's where I'm going. I'm going with Brandon Ingram. He's averaging 26.1 points per game, as you mentioned, and he's going to have 26 points at least tonight. And the Pelicans win. You get that at plus 560.
I'm going to go with Drew Holiday. We're both taking the Pelicans to win this game. Drew Holiday to score 20-plus points and the Pelicans to win. You're getting that at plus 590 over at the FanDuel Sportsbook. He has scored 20-plus in 4 of the last 5 games, Greg.
Knicks game night is next. Enjoy the game, everyone.